Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another Kathmandu Coast to Coast podcast, Series 7, Episode 7. Of course, the podcast that has hopefully got you successfully from the west coast of the South Island all the way across to New Brighton Beach on the east coast. I am one very fatigued Angus Petrie, and alongside me is the team captain, Richard Greer, who's got the post-race downers, mate.
Yeah, a bit dusty, but a bit hungover, and there's no alcohol being involved in that. Just a fantastic weekend, a big weekend, being there to the death on Saturday, see the last athletes home, which I would never not do. Super fun, super to be involved with from a competitive element, but also supporting our people to cheer them across the line. And everybody, it's been awesome, isn't it?
Well, it has been, and it's been, like you say, a massive weekend. So we'll start. There's so much to unpack over a weekend like this. You know, we've done all these podcasts, and we've zoned in on some specific things over the years for each episode, and bitten off a few items each episode. But we're going to try and do a bit of a wrap up here of what was the actual event for 2026, the 44th running of the Kathmandu Coast to Coast, and I guess. A lot about how we went, mate, because why not? We've had a great
because everyone has to listen to us.
Yes, that's right. But there's so much went on over the weekend. So strap in, sit back. These two old blokes here are going to just chat for a little bit before we unleash some great memories of the Kathmandu Coast to Coast and some stories that Richard, the two of us, put together, mainly you afterwards, from a lot of competitors that you'll all be able to sit back and listen to how their weekends went. But I guess in the meantime, mate, let's where do we start?
Where do we start? Well, I guess nerves on the start line, nerves in the beginning, nerves at registration. It was pretty cool to kind of catch up with people there. It can be a pretty nerve-wracking time, can't it? Lots of fit-looking people, lots of people that look like they know what they're doing. So that's kind of where it started. But it was there was a lot of weather chat, wasn't there, in this coast to coast? It wasn't a straightforward. It'll be a little bit overcast on the west coast. It'll be a bit of a tailwind early on, and then it will turn into an easterly as the sun comes out. It gets hot later on with a low river. There was chances of flooding. There was chances of thunderstorms. Could we even paddle the river on Saturday? We don't know. So Glenn, the weatherman, he and his team did a very good job, I think, of trying to manage that and the decision-making process and the communication around that to kind of help direct what we're actually going to do on race day.
Okay, well, it was really hard to believe, wasn't it? Because it was bright bluebird day in Greymouth. It was one of their 26 sunny days they have a year.
Yeah. They've been sunnier than us on the West Coast.
Anyone from Greymouth,
I'm going to move there. It's been so sunny.
And it was really hard to believe standing there. But I got to say, because I did hear some chat over the weekend, actually on day 2, I heard some chat that I knew we'd hear at some stage that, they could have run it over Goat Pass and they didn't get that much rain and rah. Now, I tell you something, I know for a fact that the lengths that Coast go to about this to get this right and everybody's safety is first and foremost is the thing. And it's a pretty tough job if something goes wrong up there in Goat Pass to get everybody out. They have the Met Service provide a specific zoned-in forecast for the Coast to Coast weekend up until I think it was like 11:30 that morning of registration when they got their final specific weather forecast. So they don't guess. They're not just looking at 15 apps like we were, all standing around in a circle, all with a different app open trying to figure out whether it was going to rain or not. You know, the detail they went to provide a good, accurate sort of what is going to happen here to make some good race decisions. I commend them. Massively hard job to call to make. You just got to give it to them for standing up and making that call. I think it was a great decision. And I think Plan B was quite exciting.
Oh, it was, absolutely. And you've got to think about the level of athletes that are involved in the 2-day, and there's people out there till 7 o'clock plus at night. So, yeah, sure, those that are in at lunchtime could have run over the normal route, but those that are out there in the worst of it, and there were people at the back end of the field, some of our crew, that actually had to be diverted onto the road of Otera because the river was up too high and they couldn't actually cross it. So, great call to make. And I think it's just that mindset shift, isn't it? Like coast to coast, we've got to be ready for anything. We talk about that a lot. And it's just the mindset shift to say, okay, well, this is what we're doing. What are the requirements? What do I need to do differently? How do I need to how does my nutrition change? How does my pacing change? And it was from an athlete's perspective. I think it was I'd actually did it in 2020. There's a few people, 2 people I've talked to. James, you'll know who you are. If you're doing the race again, make sure you let me know, because I probably won't do the race again. And there was someone else I talked to today. They've only ever done it on the 2 courses. That's the B course.
Wow.
Actually,
Wow.
we need to know who those people are. So we'll just sort of maybe get a year off. Maybe we'll do the bike ride instead. So yeah, it was like Otira, obviously, for those that run it up there. She was rough as guts. There's no tracks. It was really back to basics, back maybe pioneering days when the trail wasn't what it was, and you just had to kind of make your own route. You didn't have to know ABC. So that was kind of cool. And then the viaduct was something different, like the social element of it, seeing you drive past me, hanging out the window. When I really wanted to get in the back of your car, but I knew that wasn't the right thing to do, but I really did in the rain. Through to, like, it was a run of 4 halves, but 4 quarters, the rough Otira, the steep viaduct with all the cars in the rain, with the wind behind you, the lovely trails of Arthur's Pass at the top, and then from Arthur's Pass village down back in the Beatty to home. So it had its specific sections, but yeah, it was a cool challenge, and definitely had plenty of coast to coast-esque running about it.
Okay, well, let's talk about the run shortly and talk about what goes on up the Otira, up the viaduct there, when everybody's having a great day out up there. Some more than others, clearly, by the looks of their faces. But let's just go back. We're at registration. Like I said, it was a beautiful day. The vibe is what it always is. You know, arriving at Greymouth, I was a bit late this year and walked into the sports building there, and it was already cranking. Normally I'm there right from the start and it builds away, and I managed to walk
be cranking, was it?
And it was just, you walk in there and the switch is on and you can see everybody's anticipation and their excitement and all those last minute conversations about gear and all those sort of things. So the vibe was as high as it's ever been, I think, this year.
Yeah, totally agree. I think, excited to get into it at that stage, and had some good yarns, caught up with lots of different people, which is cool. Really enjoyed, actually, just a long time list of first time callers. A few, we managed to grab a couple of wee interviews actually as well, which we might play a bit later on. So of people that listen to the podcast and come up to say thanks. So kind of cool to connect with people that actually, there's people that listen to this podcast, Angus.
Well, I told you my story, but we got to tell this story. Of stories to tell. Don't you know who I am? Arrived there, and of course we've been lucky enough, through, CP sponsoring some stuff at the event, and we've, got our tent and things inside and whatnot. And so there's a little bit of privileged parking just at the back of the building. They're nice and close in a coned off area, and so you can get stuff in. And we arrived there. Chris and I, obviously late, and had our CP signs on the car and whatnot, and went to turn in the cones there. And I'm sorry if you're listening to this podcast, because I know you listen to the podcast. I really should have actually. We need to swap names one day, because you've been on this. I'm sure you've been on that entranceway for the last few years, and it's always great to see you. And when we stop there, old mate comes over to the window to see, realistically, more so just to say, "What do you think you're doing? You can't come in here." And so I wound the window down and stuck my head out the window, and he went, "I recognise that mustache. Come on in." And great podcast, he says as we drive in there. So there you go. That was probably the start of a good weekend to come.
Fantastic. That's so good. That's awesome. And one of the things I found, like, as thinking before the start line, looking outside, weather fine, lovely in the morning, getting up at, I don't know, was it 4 something or other, to go and having breakfast, and then all of a sudden this rain on the roof in Greymouth. It was a torrential downpour. It felt like Glenn had ordered that, especially because it was like, "Oh, what are you talking about, Glenn? It's completely fine." And then rain. Right. Oh no, actually, maybe I need to take my rain jacket today.
That 5 a.m. rain was just...
It's perfect, wasn't it?
It was amazing, wasn't it? Like, I just had breakfast. I was trying to walk back to the room and had to wait it out a little bit because it was torrential. And I ran into Glenn at Aikens, and I was standing there talking to Glenn at Aikens and said, he was asking about the ride and the weather and things. And I was like, yeah, but how about that 5 a.m.? And he's like, "Angus, we were just sitting there hoping that something like that was going to happen.
Please.
Just because we'd made this call and everybody woke up and it was mild and it was 14 degrees or 16 degrees or whatever it was, and it was a balmy day for racing, and you could almost be starting to ask those questions of what are we doing here? But on cue, there it came. That's what it is. And it came and went through the day, I suppose. But for that middle part of the day, the main racing part, it really set in, didn't it? It was West Coast rain.
It was torrential. It was biblical almost, sort of, as you're coming up that viaduct. I was just pleased that the wind was behind you, so it was hitting the back of the head. It would be pretty nasty. It was coming head on, but it wasn't cold. It was like still shorts and t-shirt type weather as I was running up there, which made a big difference. But we had a bit of special cargo on board as well for our event too, didn't we, Angus?
Yeah, we did. Of course, we had Currie's bib. You're one of your athletes that you'd spent a couple of years working towards this year's Coast to Coast, wasn't it? And unfortunately, Currie had a heart attack just before Christmas and passed away.
Yeah, so we're not sure of the exact cause of death as such, but he tried to do the Coast to Coast, did the first day and pulled out before the kayak at the 2-day, and unfortunately, suddenly he passed away late last year. So his bib's been printed, as everything was ready to go, and it was really. It was tough, but it was so good to meet Levi and Anita, his wife, on the coast, and we took his bib with us on our journey to complete his journey of the Coast to Coast, which was pretty special. Currie, just as he passed away, he was doing so well. He was ready. He was getting ready to do it. He had a number of injuries that he'd sorted out. He'd lost a bit of weight. He was just starting to get cranking, and we were both starting to believe that maybe he could actually do this thing. And for that to happen so suddenly, and so brutal for his family. But it was just a little thing that we could do to honour him. And it definitely, as you're getting across the course, I thought of him, and I'm sure you did as well, as you're like, when it's starting to hurt and you're battling along, just thinking of the why was for Currie's family and for Currie to actually see if we can finish that journey in some way for him.
Yeah, it was great to carry it from one side to the other, and if you've seen the footage of us finishing up the shoot at New Brighton on the Team CP Facebook page of us running up there, you'll see us carrying Richard, you and I hanging on to that bib, carrying that bib like a nice flag out there all the way to the finish line, and completing his journey and completing Anita's journey there as well. Really, it was a real privilege, actually, is what it was.
Yeah, 100%. And I think one day the boys who are sort of late teens, early 20s will potentially have a go at it themselves again. They were talking about that when we caught up. So yeah, it was a cool thing to be able to do, and to meet Anita and share that with her.
Right, well, the day came. Toby had one job to do on day one, to be fair, didn't he?
Run fast. He did pretty well, eh? All things considered, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you might note that in the last podcast we invited him on for a bit of banter and things. We've specifically left him out of this because, it's way easier to talk about him when he's not here than...
He was the only reason we won last year, and pretty much we're waiting for him to do that again to us this year. Turns out that he had some pretty handy competition out there as well, didn't he?
He did. But anyway, the big giraffe, actually, again, outstanding job getting off the beach. And what I like about teams racing is there is actually a lot of camaraderie and a bit of standing around and a bit of bantering. And right from our day one start there at that first cycle transition, what turned out to be a whole weekend's battle. We had Steve Grieve there from Bob and Flavio's team, Craig Scott from Nathan Fave's team, Grant Lyons was there as well, and so there was sort of four of us throughout all the different bike legs that had plenty of good banter. So it was nice to stand around before it all got going and just talk a bit of bike and a bit of banter. Yeah. But Toby did us proud again, mate. Toby did us proud getting there. I've got to say, for a big giraffe, he did a good run and realistically put me in a good position. A quick little chase on, and we were in the lead bunch. So I didn't have as far to bridge up the road this time.
He did say that last year he went out far too hard and died at a hole at the corner, whereas this time he was like, I'll just pace himself and run hard through. But he did exactly the same thing again, blew to bits at that first corner, which I think most people in the event end up doing, don't they?
And actually, I think like Anthony Chapman was one of the first ones in. Like he did the run off the beach for his team, and he was sort of first in there. And Shannon, who I went to school with, he took off on the bike, and I don't know, maybe he went a bit hard. It didn't take us long to pick him back up, and we had quite a good group. But I gotta say, it was an awkward bunch. Our bunch was an awkward bunch. I thought with some pretty good cyclists in it, that we might be able to make something really work, really get some rotation going, do all those things. But by golly, it was pretty frustrating, I tell you.
Did you not say? Do you know who I don't? Do you not know who I am? Get yourself sorted. Do you not able to swing around a little bit?
There was a couple of us trying, and in the end, I think we just gave up. It just was not happening.
Yeah,
it was not happening. But I don't know when the last time or if I have. I mean, like that was some torrential rain conditions that we were on the bike there for. To the fact that, the road was an inch deep in water and all the, wheel marks and things and whatnot. The driving rain when it did rain. But how pleasant it was to just be in a shirt and bibs, wasn't cold. It made it quite pleasant. It could have been awful if that had been cold. That's for sure. Passed a lot of the teams. Of the individuals. We scooped up quite a few of them and said hello to a lot of people as we went past a lot of our athletes, a few other people I know, as you sort of come up behind them. And that was quite cool just to be able to say hello on the way past. And some people were having a good time out there. They were really enjoying that bike leg. And there were some that you could really tell they were thinking about what was still to come ahead of them. So, interesting, different mix of things going on there. My bike leg was pretty straightforward, mate. Like it's go out the gate, it's turn the volume knob to 12, put the heart rate as high as you can, put as many watts out as you can for an hour and 28 minutes or whatever it was, and just literally try and hold on to be to you as quickly as I could. That's all I was thinking. My job was to make sure you got away on the run at the same time as the lead group, as our competition did. And I think we successfully ticked that box. My other thing off the back of that ride was later in the day when I took my bike off the roof at Klondike to get it ready for the next day. It was like, I heard this noise. I was like, what is that? And so spun both my front and my back wheel, and both wheels were full of water. The carbon wheels that I've got, they had a lot of water inside them, and we had a lot of time trying to drain that water out of them. It's incredible the amount of water that we had gone through.
Yeah, you spoke about going through and cheering people on as you saw them, as you rode past them as the team rider. I just wanted to share this actually from Jim Williams from the States. We've helped him out over the past few years. He said it only takes a second. 2-day vintage plus competitor from the US. I was passed by Sam Manson and Will Hand on the final bike. Both took a second to read my name on the bib. Both took a second to say, "Go Jim." It only takes a second to make someone's day. Class. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I think that sums up what the Coast to Coast is about and the vibe, and that everybody's out there to support each other. And I really love that about those top elites that are putting it all out there, that are racing for the podium in the longest day. And they've been out there for 10 hours or so at that stage or so, and they've still got enough within them to actually give a little bit out to others. That's pretty cool.
No, that's from those, especially from those guys, from those top end athletes that are racing for some serious prizes, that they've still got time to give back. And that I think we always, we've talked about the likes of Sam Manson and what they give back to the sport and to the coast to coast and things. And it's that's just another.
And speaking of vibe, I also want a bit of a shout out to all those people that dressed up over the weekend as well. The Crowns, I think, one of the best.
Corner is so good, isn't it?
Oh, it was amazing. Aitken's Corner. So the Crowns as the guys that I think won the award, but also I think it was the Teletubbies. And within the Teletubby crew, they had a guy that was dressed as the sun. You would have seen him, but he had the sun on all weekend. But it wasn't like everyone else was dressed up as Teletubbies in his team, but he had a yellow face paint the whole time. He might have been kind of the plainest dress guy, but he was fully yellow the whole time. I'd say hats off from a commitment perspective of the yellow sun guy. Well done to him.
I love Aikens. It's where it all happens, and it's where all the excitement is. The first proper transition. It's chaos there. It's the one transition where everyone's coming at once, just about. Like it's waves of chaos, but such good fun had by everybody there.
That's right. I also wanted to say have a bit of a Bella, my daughter, did the event last year. Nate, my son, did the event, and again, both of them. I didn't know that they were going to do it. Basically, they've signed up. They've talked to their friend to say, let's do the coast to coast. Let's sign up. And then basically both of them have said, oh, Dad, we've got an entry to the coast to coast. So it's not me like, you should do the coast to coast. It's like they've just figured it out with their friends. So this year, Bella was doing it. One of her things that she wanted to, Nate did it when he was, what was he? He was 17. So Bella wanted to do it when she was younger than what Nate does. So she was 15 going on 16. So she was like, well, it doesn't matter because I've done it when I was younger. But Bella's had done so well with her training and turning along to our Wednesday cycle groups and just building confidence and all that. And I got this message from Brendan Burke. Don't know Brendan, but he said, hi, Richard, just saw your post and chat with Bella after the bike yesterday. On your way back up the hill, I yelled out, I was coming down with my bike, that I'd been paddling with Penny McLeod in the Hawke's Bay, who I've been working with for the longest day. Anyway, I biked with Bella on day one and we both got dropped. So I said to her, let's go. We've got to get back on the back of this group, which we eventually did. Was very impressed. Assume now that this is your daughter. Comes from very good stock, obviously. So a big congrats. He also says, I did my first coast with my wife in the 2-day Teams relay. Absolutely loved it. Great work on everything you guys do, especially the podcast. And maybe it was my podcast teammate here that he's actually saying well done to. But that was pretty cool to hear from Brendan, a bit of feedback, because Bella hadn't told me that. So quite cool to get that note through.
I talked to Bella and when she got to Aikens there and give her a wee interview. And it turns out she learned a few things from you, Richard. She said she sat on the back of the group and tried not to do too much work.
Maybe you got it wrong. It wouldn't have been me. I wouldn't have thought that's right at all. I'm sure you got words in her mouth. That's right. But
the Bella thing's interesting because I think that's just so cool that both two of your kids, you've still got a few to get through there yet, but two of your kids have completed the coast to coast, and you must be extremely proud of that, and especially because they've done it off their own back and not you doing it. Hannah Sherwood's another one to recognise as well, who completed the 2-day individual. Matt Sherwood's been a part of this thing with you, Richard, in Team CP for forever and a day. And so it was great to see Hannah complete that. Glen Currie's son, Mackenzie, had a crack this year as well. I rode in the first ride with Tan Currie, Braden's son was there as well. He was doing a 2-person team. And Jack, actually Tan's teammate Jack was lucky for us, I would suggest, was probably just not quite as quick as everybody in that pack, because Tan was looking pretty racy here for a while and pretty itchy, like he wanted to tear us all apart and open it up. And luckily he had to stick with his teammate a little bit there, I think. So we probably got off the hook there a little bit.
Okay, we'll take that. I don't mind that. That's completely fine, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm sure there was 100 other family members or people doing it.
Absolutely.
So shout out to all of those people, really, because the pride is real when you see a family member or whatever, or anybody complete it.
And there's lots of stories about Dad did it 10 years ago, so I'm going to go back and do it. There's lots of that stuff that happens, which is pretty cool. People have been sort of brought up around that, or have a family member that has done it as well. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It's cool to be able to be part of it. It's cool to be able to share it with others. It's cool to be able to actually coach and support people to it. And that's the real buzz that we get out of this. And then the support crew side of things we do, that's a fantastic element to what we can offer to allow especially internationals, to come along and actually be involved in this event, which is almost impossible from overseas, let's be honest. So that's a pretty cool thing. So big shout out to Sandra and Eddie and Matt for really leading the charge and having an awesome year getting those people across the country as well.
Yeah, we'll come back to them in a bit. Let's get up the run here, mate. You set off, because we are on Plan B run, and I know the minute that it was announced that it was Plan B, I could see a phone come out of your pocket. I could see some text messages getting sent off in different directions to try and get some advice and people that have done it and get some hot tips and some hotlines. How did that go?
So I'd actually pre-recorded a bit of a line as we were driving over the night before about line choices and things like that. It was specifically about the viaduct. Probably not that useful, to be honest, but quite funny. I had it ready to go as soon as Glenn had made the announcement that we'd, because looking at the forecast, it was pretty likely that was going to happen. So the Otira, as I said, was rough as guts. It was quite cool in the fact that you had to pick your own lines and kind of make it up. The Otira viaduct was challenging. My goal was to try and run it all, and I'm pretty happy that I just about did. Like, I actually walked for probably about 20 meters just to mix the muscles up a little bit, and then one of my goals was to catch up with Jake Vargo, local Kiwi lad who was looking to try and see if he could do well in the veteran men's category, a category that I'd sort of lived in Kiwi for a couple of years, which is quite fun. But unfortunately, I caught Jake up a little bit earlier. I caught him up at about Arthur's Pass itself, around the stairs and things, for those that ran it. I yelled out to Jake, "Go, Jake! You're going well. Give it heaps!" And then it took me like another 5 to 10 minutes to actually catch him, because he got a wriggle on and I couldn't actually catch him after that. So that was quite cool to see him out on course. And then
it took you a long time to catch him in the first place, because when we went past you and I hung out the window there to get some footage of you in the pissing down rain there, he was actually only like another corner round. Like when we left you, went around the corner, we were just about on top of him. So to hear that it actually took quite a while for you to get to him.
Yeah. Well, if you told me that might have changed things.
Well, I didn't know then, did I? Because he was in front of you.
Yeah. But cool, good fun, and good. I was really pleased to be able to finish strong and get across the line well, and get there in one piece for these old knees as well. Never gets any easier.
How did you feel though? Like you ran good?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I had a bit of a battle with another guy that were like, he passed me on the viaduct and he kind of just kept me in sight. And I just kept him in sight and managed to pick him up again around the village, and then took a couple of slightly better line choices down the Beeley, and then pushed hard after that and managed to stay away from him and catch another few people as well. So there was 2 over the shoulder as he coming, but managed to sort of put a little bit of distance on. So if he was coming, I would have been completely stuffed. Never do that. Don't ever look back. But it was quite good to know that I think I had it in the bag. So those little competitions, those little elements make it good fun, don't they?
Well, I hope you did actually go hard, because I thought you arrived at the finish line in some of the best looking Richard Greer condition that I've seen in a while. So I'm hoping you did go hard.
Well, I definitely went hard. I didn't fall across the finish line this year, which is probably better, but I think I didn't cramp quite the same as usually. I'm in bits. Like last year, I face planted about 300 meters from the finish line. So face planted, people looking at me, and then tried to stand up to start running, thinking that hopefully nobody saw that, and then full cramp, and I couldn't really even move my legs. So I'm running like a stick man kind of thing to the finish line. So that was happening last year. But also my run was it was almost 50 minutes faster than last year as well. So I was just pretty pleased to be there, to be honest, rather than another 50 minutes worth of effort to get to the finish line. Yeah,
nice. It's good though, isn't it? Like each year to see there'll be a question for later too, to be fair, but I think each year brings a different thing, doesn't it? But it's good at 46, that's 46, 47. What are you, Richard?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm starting to think about, I've talked about the longest day within 50. I'm starting to feel like that's coming around pretty soon. So I don't know. It's a couple of years away yet anyway.
You're getting better. Right. Well, you did, I thought, a great run, mate, and a good time, pretty competitive time looking at that. We're just talking off here about where that stacked up with some of the individuals and bits and pieces of things. But our team, we were put on the burner, on the back burner.
Poor Toby.
Title before Toby even got a shot at the water, didn't he?
Didn't even have a chance, did he? He was already, It was, Zephyr Fave, what an athlete. So I did the run in 2:52. Zephyr did it in 2 hours and 18 minutes. Like, that is just insane. So looking at that, that's averaging 4:27 for the entire run. 4:27 over that terrain is absolutely ridiculous. So, Toby was up against it this time around.
I'm going to be, and I hope he does. I'll be real interested to see if Zephyr gets released to actually run Goat Pass properly next year.
See how he actually goes.
And what sort of time over Goat Pass that young fella can do. Talking about coming from good stock, that young lad comes from good stock.
It's a good stock, isn't he? As a New Zealand sort of level orienteer, obviously he knows how to run over that terrain. But yeah, that's just next level fast. It's so impressive. And then so Toby had the next day to paddle, and he sets off with Bob McLaughlin, obviously a legend of the coast to coast. He's got second in the longest day and a legend paddler. We've had him on the podcast before, and none other than Nathan Fave, just a little bit in front of him. So those guys had one heck of a battle down the river in the 2-day coast to coast with basically, by the sounds of it, Toby hauled his boat about the rock gardens and spent the whole river basically pumping his boat back out, which makes it challenging to actually paddle properly. He paddled up to Nathan, which is no mean feat in itself, and then he looked back and he saw that his back of his boat, like his rudder, was almost underwater basically. So he got out, emptied his boat out, and then Bob caught him back up again, and then proceeded to paddle back up to Nathan and paddle with him again. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was about Woodstock by this was kind of happening. Instead of sitting behind Nathan, he's like, nah, straight to the front. I'm just off and gone, which then meant that he hadn't paddled the river since this time last year. So it may have been a work on. But then took a couple of dodgy braid choices, because if you'd been down the river, you knew sort of where to go and where not to go a bit. So, and then Nathan put another 400 meters or so on him. And then Nathan broke his rudder. So all of a sudden, Toby was able to catch up with Nathan again and just squeak ahead of him just by the end of the shoot. So yeah, some pretty amazing racing. And Bob, by the sounds of it, was sort of almost front row seats to what was going on up the front there and what Toby was up to.
So I hear some great stories. We actually fed Toby a couple of beers on Sunday night, and just to get the real intel of what went on there, lubed him up a bit there to get some inside information there. But first of all, I want to back up to the start. We got him on the water basically first, right now. But we were, I heard we were lucky to actually get him in that position, and that you, Richard Greer, had only just exited the Portaloo when I arrived there on the bike.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, that's right. I had to negotiate in the Portaloo queue about what everyone else is up to and when their rider was riding. So I managed to jump
a quick spot poll to see what wave they were all in.
I managed to jump 3 slots in the Portaloo queue to jump in their quick, so that was very fortunate. Yeah, a little bit earlier than I'd hoped for. So that was lucky. So I kind of went up to see where you're coming, and then you already arrived. So I'd sort of had a mobile start. I feel like my run was another, 50 meters longer than everyone else, because I had to run down to get you at the end of the shoot. And then also, I think for the fact that running down the hill, Zephyr, etc., got away from me, which was a tactical maneuver to be slower down the hill. And then as soon as I crossed the timing mat, ripped in and had a good transition. So all of a sudden, Toby's time was going to be better because I was so slow down the hill. So that was a tactical maneuver, but I think it paid off in the end.
And then Toby was saying that, and because of course Nathan Fave and Toby, they know each other. It sounds like they're quite good mates along the way in the paddling scene, and have done lots of racing, and things together. And when Toby sort of got beside him for the first time and sort of said hello, Nathan just blanked him. Said nothing. And Toby went, okay, it looks like it's on here. Looks like there's we were talking back here on the river, on the river's edge, and now we're in the boats. It's serious game on here.
It's quite good to hear, isn't it? And then it's a bit of a passing maneuver from Nathan, like Toby's taking a like getting around the line sort of thing over a bit of a boil, I think, and then all of a sudden Nathan basically passes him, takes this crazy line down the rapid, bumps into him a bit, and he's off and gone. So again, that was another point that actually it's all on here. There's no love lost here whatsoever.
And then actually, because Nathan broke his rudder, And Toby actually said when he sort of pulled up beside him, he actually offered to. It was apparently there was a piece flapping up while it was still sort of hanging there, and I think it was still at the end at the time. And I think Toby, in the good spirit of the thing, actually offered to break it off for him if he wanted. I'm not. Nathan said no, so I'm not sure if he was worried he was actually going to grab the back of the boat and give it a flick, or. However, it sounded like, in the middle of the river there, those two were having a great battle and some good camaraderie along the way there. With Toby, of course, getting to that beach first.
Yeah, and then up the hill. I think I'm going to say that I specialise in that run out of the river up the hill to you. I think that was probably the best I'd moved all weekend, to be honest. And I didn't see Nathan, but I heard another number called. I was like, oh, that's weird. Oh, surely not. That must be a mistake. So ripped up to you, threw you the Kerry's bib and changed the timing chip and off and gone. And you mentioned to me, is there anyone behind you? No, just send it, just go. Turns out that actually the Nathan team with Zephyr running up the hill, they're actually only 20 seconds behind, which I think was a masterstroke on my behalf. So you thought you were off and gone, but actually they're only 20 seconds back, the other crew were. So you just put your head down, bum up, got into riding, and ended up from 20 seconds, ended up put like 4 to 5 minutes on the other crew. So big hats off to you, Angus Petrie, for specialising in the downhill time trial into New Brighton. How good is that?
Downhill. I can tell you it doesn't feel like it's downhill.
On Strava it looks like downhill.
Into that nor'easter. Funny, because if you're standing up there with your bike, you have no idea what's going on down at the river. And we got an early call that we 1196 had come through Woodstock. And so we were playing the watch game then to work out roughly when that might happen. And we had heard that there was one other boat, but we never got a number. And it sounds like there was a bit of a issue with some timing chips and things going on there and reading in the river. So we actually had no idea. You obviously wandered down with a fair amount of time to go just to make sure you were there. But when you're standing up there with the bikes, you're just waiting, you're all talking. There was a bit of aero banter talking. Steve had an aero helmet there that he'd bought out for the last. I had aero booties on. We were all there just talking about how we were going to chase each other down. And then you hear the crowd roar, and you can hear the crowd of everybody down at the beach there start yelling and clapping, and you're like, right, first boat's here. Job's on. Next minute, I heard you yelling at about 120 decibels, calling my name. While I'm actually casually standing there, still trying to get my Garmin to go. But So once again, we were good. We got the lead car in, which gives you something to chase, just to keep your head down. I always think at the time, day one, ride one is one of the hardest rides I do all year long. It's the intensity of that bunch ride is just off the hook. Yeah. Then you get back to South Air Road all on your own, nobody around you, having to hold speed numbers and power numbers, and that is actually one of the toughest rides ever, I reckon. It's a mental head game to be able to continue to go. And in fact, there was I was looking at my power numbers and bits and pieces, and from average power to normalized power, normally when you do a bike ride, you get an average power of whatever it might be. And then by the time it normalizes out and takes out all the downhill free rolling, all that sort of bit, it's quite a big jump. It's 20 or 30 watts or something sometimes in that gap. There was a 4 watt difference between average power and normal power. Average power and normalized power in that last bike ride, which just goes to show that is 70 kilometers of not stopping pedaling.
Yep, you're on the pedals the whole time. So you clearly free-wheeled around a couple of the corners is what that's doing. So maybe there's a bit of work to do there, is to try and pedal around some of those right angle bends at the finish line there, Angus.
Yeah, well, a couple of those cones and intersections that the traffic management had coned off were a bit tight to be pedaling it, I can tell you that. Yeah, it had to be a bit of negotiation on a couple of those.
No, that's awesome. And great to get to the finish line. And again, as we mentioned, honour Kerry and run up the finish line and drag you up the sand, first tracks up the sand at the end.
Yeah, talked about this last year. It's great to be able to do it again. We're 2 years running. It's almost a habit. 2 times is nearly a habit, isn't it?
It's a hard habit. Oh my goodness.
We won. We didn't win the war, but I think we won the battle. We won day 2. We were first up the beach. There's some real glory in being first home and first up that beach. And the tale of, Toby was. Once I'd run up that beach, and you guys, as we were running up there, are sort of talking to me, going, "Massive effort! Can't believe, like this is awesome." Rah, 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 I don't know, whatever it was you were saying, and I wasn't really comprehending, because I wasn't comprehending anything about that stage anyway, because I was pretty much dead. And then there was sort of a smile and a smirk from Toby and you at the top, and you just don't know, do you, Angus? And I'm like, "Know what?" And that's when you sort of said, there was 20 seconds when you left, and we waited for a long time. We had a few interviews before they turned up there. So that was quite cool, just to go, shit, job was really on here. We have had a good day 2 between us all, and put ourselves back in the fight. Obviously with Zephyr, we couldn't quite get it all the way back there, but I think we did pretty good again, I think.
You could have had a nice, lovely ride riding with 1 or 2 others, couldn't you? But no, we couldn't have that happen.
No, it seems you like to make that last round hard for me every year. So
yeah, that's good. Absolutely. That's the only way to do it, isn't it? So on to the rest. We've had a fantastic chat about Coast to Coast, and I guess our day and a few other stories. But this podcast, At the Finish Line, there was so many different people to talk to. So I had the microphone out, recording live as people cross the finish line. So we've got a bunch of different people that we're going to share on this podcast. We're going to have a chat to Rebecca Kingsford, who won the women's longest day. So stoked for her after many years of sort of trying to get her body right and put a race together. Sophie Shallard, who won the 2-day women's by like 13 seconds, saw her running up the viaduct in all sorts of crap, and had a very tough day 1, but finished off well on day 2. We're going to talk to Julian Korn, who was one of the originals did the race in 1983, 1984, currently resides in Adelaide, and it's his first time back since then. So have a chat to him. We're going to chat to Anna Woods, who's most of you are listening to this will be, if you haven't already, jump on the Facebook Coast to Coast 2027 training page. That's a fantastic resources for people to share ideas, learn stuff from others. But Anna is the keeper of that page, and she managed to complete the longest day, get home. So had a chat to her as well, and many, many others. We're going to wrap up with Glen Currie, the race director, as well. So this is going to be a good chat, and it's all recorded live when the emotions are happening and raw and real, with background noise and all that excitement as well. So pretty excited about this one. A little bit different from what we've done in the past, but it's going to be strap yourself in. It's going to be a good listen.
I think it's a great way to summarize the event of what happened and touch on many things. There's plenty of people that, well, every competitor that started and every competitor that finished, and everyone in between needs congratulating and mentioning. There's a long, distinguished list of people that need some accolades. You got to take your hat off. I was both, the World Championship multi-sport event, the longest day. Again, to everybody that did that, you take your hat off to every person that can complete the longest day.
That's right.
It is a big day out. From me to Hamish Elliott, great to see Hamish get that job done in such fine form and fashion as well. And Sam coming in there as well, coming back from a sort of a year off and throwing himself back in the ring there, just proving that he is still a force to be reckoned with. But I've got to agree, Rebecca Kingsford taking out the women's championship after the last couple of years that she's had. She hasn't actually been trying to do this for long, but she hasn't had great health and a bit of unluckiness along the way. So we always knew she had the potential, and she was always a good favourite along the way, and great to see her pull that off. And turns up to prize giving in a moon boot and a set of crutches from an ankle or something she did way back in the run earlier in the day.
So in the first 3Ks or something like that, she did it. So that's pretty hard. It's tough, hard as nails. But also the women's field, was it the first 5 athletes finished within, I don't know, was it 5 minutes of each other or something ridiculous? Anyway, there was, threw a blanket across them at the finish line, and then a few new names popped up in the men's longest day as well.
And ran into at the finish line there, multi-winner Simone Mayer. she was actually studying there talking to Flavia, and I stopped to talk to Flavs, and she had a hood up over those lovely little colourful little bits of hair hair ties that she has in her hair there. It's sort of Simone's trademark hairstyle there, and but stopped and talked to her, and she had been circulating the event across the course all day, and it was really interesting to hear from her how great a day she'd had, just being involved and being out there, and seeing for the first time a whole lot of things that go on that she's never seen happen or never even knew happened for all the years that she'd been competing. So that was a really interesting take, sort of a bit of an eye opener she'd had, and it almost. You could almost see the passion straight back in her eyes again when she saw all those things that were actually happening, that people were doing along the way. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess that's what Sam's maybe taken away. Like, that's a fantastic race that he put together as well for his event too, that actually having a year off and coming back freshens you up and reminds you why you're doing it, and to be part of the event on a different angle was pretty cool. So yeah, lots to share along those lines. A big well done to Tom Schneck, who won the 2-day individual men's as well. Fantastic performance for that, and again a cool list of new names and winning the under 23 as well, which is pretty cool with that new sort of category that Glenn has put together over the last couple of years. So jeepers, those school competitors coming through out of the teams and into that individual, it's pretty impressive of how fast these guys can actually go.
No, it's been another cracker of a year, the 2026 Kathmandu Coast to Coast. Rich, she's kind of almost done and dusted. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of stories to come out along the way, and you know, who knows? If you like Boyd back in Ireland, it was about 3 years ago they were here, and he's still wearing his medal around his neck currently. So.
Absolutely.
In fact, I haven't actually. I need to get on the chat. I haven't sent him a picture of our medal for this year, actually.
And another trophy. I just actually, before we cut to our interviews, one last thing. I just want to say, well done for those people that put themselves out there and didn't quite make it this year. There are some in the 2-day, but the long and also more in the longest day. There was. I think it was like 31 people didn't finish the longest day. That maybe stuff went wrong. They just didn't quite get through fast enough. Pulling out at Woodstock must be the worst thing in the world. And I had a couple of people that I coached that didn't quite make it, just pulled out. Also Helen Gillespie, who we talked about in our previous podcast, just before this one, just before race day. Fantastic chat, but unfortunately she got ill the week before and ended up in hospital with a stomach bug, giardia, something along those lines, the day before the Coast to Coast. So wasn't able to put herself on the start line. So nothing to do with what she did. It's just a random thing that can sometimes happen. And I talked to her today, actually. She said, I'd planned for everything, but I hadn't planned for this. I hadn't planned for not making it because I got sick. So really rough for those people. So feel for them, and hopefully those people that didn't quite achieve their goal, you guys will be back for next year or in the future at some point to go and tick that box and complete what you started out to do.
Nice. And I think finally, Rich, we probably can wrap our portion up. Do you think?
I think so. Yep, I think it was it.
I want to say for those of our athletes that came for the supported package, we hope you've had a fabulous time here. A lot of you coming traveling from overseas, so thank you for coming to New Zealand, and thank you for coming to the Kathmandu Coast to Coast, being a part of the Team CP supported crew. I hope you've just enjoyed your whole weekend, and we've made it super easy for you. On the flip to that, to all of our support crew that are a part of that, like you said at the start, to Sandra, who spends months putting this together, getting to know everybody in advance, all of those things, to Matt Sherwood, who writes a Bible for everything, a handbook for just about everything, and has it detailed so you cannot physically get anything wrong while you're with us. Eddie Fidal, who comes from Fast Eddie, comes from Australia, every year takes time off to come and be a part of this journey, and a bit of our kayak specialist, always down there, to every other volunteer that we had, Steve, Rob, Brian, sorry, the list goes on of everybody that came to help. Thank you very much. We appreciate all of that help, actually, to mum and dad, and to they come again to do the kitchen work, the breakfast and things. But I guess finally, I suppose, to Kathmandu for sponsoring the Coast to Coast and continuing their partnership with the Coast to Coast. It almost keeps us in a job somewhat there, Richard, along the way. Glen Currie and all of his team, what a fabulous event. You can just not go past this event. It is such a well-run, well-presented, high vibe event. I don't think there's much else in the world that matches what the Kathmandu Coast to Coast is. And finally, Richard Greer, to you, mate, for you, for CP, for having us, for putting our team together. I'm sorry you can't be a part of our Toby and our team next year because you're just not quick enough. But thank you for the previous 2 years.
I just feel like I need to cheer there a little bit. So just the day before, Toby and I were having a chat. I was making some sports drink up, and I think we were talking about food or something like that. And then Angus barges in the door. So, you guys having a meeting without me? What's going on here? I didn't realize this was going on. You're going to cut me out, are you? What's going on here? And then turns out that actually I'm too slow, so I'm cut.
We're supposed to have another team meeting. Although I find that odd that Toby's the only one having these meetings with everybody.
Yeah, well, that's maybe
we didn't have one without him, so I'm not sure there.
No, we should have a meeting at some point. That's right. But again, if you're lining up for 2027, if you want a bit of a help, that's what we're here for. Obviously, there's podcasts a part of that, and we'll keep sharing all the information along those lines. But if you want me or one of our team to help you out from a coaching perspective, I mean, that's what we do. That's our core business. So feel free to reach out and help you get from the East Coast to the West Coast, hopefully with a smile on your face as well. So let's roll and let's get into these part B of this podcast chat with we're going to kick off with Sophie Shallard, who won the 2-day women's Coast to Coast.
Nice. With a bit of luck, you guys can all enjoy us again, hopefully with our fingers crossed for another season to come next year. We'll hopefully be able to put all this together. Until then, again, Richard, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Sit back, enjoy some of the absolute emotion from the finish line of the 2026 Kathmandu Coast to Coast.